What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of MUT Tips. I'm your host, Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater, and before we jump in, make sure to like the video, leave a comment, and as always, subscribe on YouTube down below to be informed of upcoming videos and live streams. Ring that bell. Now let's jump into today's topic, the warm-up game of Zoom Schwartz Profigliano. If you're looking for a fast-paced warm-up game, this is one of my favorite ones to do before any show. It's called Zoom Schwartz Profigliano, and the way it works is you get a group of people in a circle, about 6 to 10 people. You can do more, you can do less. Try to go for around 6 to 10. And you teach these 3 commands. The first command is Zoom. Zoom is the command that starts every new round, and it's a command that passes to somebody across from you, not immediately to your right or left. Those are the 2 people you do not Zoom unless you happen to be doing a group of 3. Then you can do that. So it passes to that person, and one very important rule about Zoom is you cannot Zoom a Zoom, which means if you receive a Zoom, you can't Zoom someone else. You have to do one of the other commands. The next command is Profigliano. Profigliano is the hardest command to say, but it's actually the easiest to use. In fact, I tell people when in doubt, say Profigliano, and it usually will work. It's just a simple command that either goes right or left. It goes to those 2 people only. You can go in whatever direction you want. If somebody Profiglianos you, you can Profigliano them back. You can keep it going in a flow. There's no rule for what direction you can do it as long as it is to the right or left person. The next command is Schwartz. Schwartz is a little bit of a tricky move because it essentially deflects back to the person who last spoke. So for example, if I zoom somebody across the circle and that person says Schwartz, it comes back to me. But here's the catch. Eye contact is not mandatory, which means I could zoom somebody and they can say Schwartz with eye contact, or I can zoom somebody and they say Schwartz maybe to the person to their right or their left. It would still come back to me. So whoever said Schwartz, it goes back to the person who previously spoke.
Never underestimate the power of the Schwartz.
So these are the core 3 commands. Now for this game, I recommend getting comfortable and familiar with these 3 commands because there's actually a ton of other commands. And I'm gonna go through a few of my favorites here that you can incorporate in along the way. But as I said, when in doubt, go back to these 3 commands. This is a game that is best kept simple. These little commands I'm gonna give you are things you can sprinkle in along the way, but these 3 commands are the ones we want to utilize the most. The next command is Bork. Bork is kind of a modification on the Profigliano command. So Bork goes right or left, and it skips one person. It essentially jumps over one person. So if I say Bork right, it doesn't go to the person right next to me, it goes to the person next to them. The next command is Twizzler. Twizzler is another modification on a Profigliano command, so you have to look either left or right, and the Twizzler actually goes right behind you. So if I say Twizzler to my left, it doesn't go to the person to my left, it goes to the person to my right. Again, be super clear with your direction, either shift left or right, use eye contact in a lot of the commands for this game. A hybrid command that you can introduce is called Twizzle-Bork. Twizzle-Bork is a backwards Profigliano that skips one person. So we're combining both the elements of Twizzler as well as Bork. Again, be super clear with your direction. Make sure to shift your body and give eye contact to indicate where that Twizzle-Bork is going. The next command is Mazda. Mazda actually modifies a pre-existing rule briefly because you can say Mazda to anybody, right, left, or across, just give strong eye contact. And then the next 3 commands in a row are gonna be Zoom. I know there's that rule where you can't zoom a Zoom, but if somebody does say Mazda, you can break that rule for a moment. And again, the next 3 commands are Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. There's a ton of commands for this game, and in fact, something that I encourage you to do with your group is as you are playing it, maybe you will discover new commands, you know? Like sometimes we do that just with a mistake in a game. We're like, oh, that would actually be a fun idea for a command, and we try to incorporate it in to future plays. A few other quick commands is you could do a name call, which means just in the circle, if somebody gets a command, if somebody says zoom to me, for example, I might just call somebody's name in the circle. Like I call Carl, and then it goes to Carl, and then Carl does the next command. You can also do the command of what. What is a command that essentially repeats a previous command. So for example, if somebody says zoom to me, and then I say what to the person next to me with eye contact, then that person's next command has to be the command that was previous to what. So in this case, it was zoom. There's also a few fun group commands that I love incorporating in because it gets everybody involved in a brief moment. So one of these commands is called Merf. Anybody can say it, it can come at any time. So if somebody zooms me, for example, and I say Merf, we all do this together. Ah! Just like that. It's kind of like a little like Muppets moment where we all just kind of hands up, make a funny face and go, ah! And then I initiated Merf, but then I get the next command. So I might Profigliano left or right or zoom somebody across. So whoever initiates Merf keeps the command and passes the next command after Merf to somebody else. Similar to Merf is James Brown. Somebody can shout out James Brown and then we all do this together. Jump back, kiss myself, huh! And then that person can do another command to somebody else. It does not matter which one you do. So for the group commands, just make sure whoever initiates the group command gets the next command after you have performed the actual act.
I jump back, I want to kiss myself.
So these are some of the commands that we sprinkle in along the way as we play this game before a show. A few things to bear in mind. This game is meant to make mistakes. And that's great because in improv, we want to embrace mistakes. So just make sure your group has some type of celebratory moment, some choice that you make anytime a mistake happens, okay? Whether it's just you going, huh, huh, anything you want. It could just be your own. Each theater should come up with their own actual approach to celebrating mistakes. Also, this game is about being present-minded, being fast, and just making quick choices in addition to being okay making mistakes. But if you ever feel like the game is going kind of slow, it might be because you're trying to sprinkle in too many of these commands that I've just gone over. When in doubt, go back to those 3 core commands of Zoom, Schwartz, and Profigliano. Those are the commands I recommend sticking with to build up that pace, and then as you become more faster, then you can try to sprinkle in some of the other choices that I've just gone through. But this game works perfectly well with just those 3 core commands. In fact, I really love playing with just those 3 commands in small little 3-person groups. That's a great way to get everybody going nice and quick and keeping it simple. And that concludes this episode of MUT Tips, everybody. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it. Again, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time for a brand new episode of MUT Tips. Bye!